Hello, hello.
Hi, it's official.
It's official. Welcome to the 4th studio session Pottery podcast. I'm Julie.
I'm Will.
And today we have our special guest. Say hi.
Hey.
Today we were happy to have Mike Mahon. Mike and I have worked together at Clay King. He's a potter of his own rights, of many talents, and we're excited to have you here tonight. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Very happy to have you, Mike.
Well, just to let people know, I'm a little bit of aware. Julie, maybe not as much. So, Mike, I've got a question for you just to let people know who you are, what you're about, and then we can get into some more nitty-gritty details as you are setting up your own home studio.
Sure.
So just to kick us off, tell us about your first encounters with clay, and what really brought you back to it.
Sure. My real first encounters was taking pottery class in high school, actually. That's when I got the bug. I took it sophomore year, and then I took it again my senior year. And my senior year, I had an art teacher that was awesome, and she really pushed me and entered my work in all kinds of contests and whatnot, and that just kind of snowballed till after I graduated. I found a pottery wheel at an abandoned summer camp out in New Jersey, and one of my friends told me bring it home and fix it up, and then my art teacher would still let me go and fire stuff in the kilns there. So from there, the next year is when I moved down to South Carolina, and I had the pottery wheel, but I didn't have a kiln. So I found an old kiln on Craigslist, and then I just started making pottery because once I moved, I had no friends and nothing to do. So I was just a little recluse in the back storage closet at my parents' house. And yeah, I don't know, I just do pottery every day. And then I started doing little festivals, and then I quit my restaurant job and started selling pottery full time. I had a spot down in Merle's Inlet on the Marsh Walk, and I would set up every day and bring my pottery wheel and do demos all night and sling pottery to people on vacation. And it was a good time. And then a few years ago, I moved up here to Spartanburg to start working at Clay King. And that's how I met Will and Julie.
You know, even though before you started going at Clay King, I wonder if there was a time where, because I worked at that boardwalk in Merle's Inlet for a summer too, and I wonder if we worked at the same time. And the summer
It's possible.
The summer job I had was an airbrush tattooist,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right behind, I think it was like a Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse.
Or it was some like peanuts on the floor, marsh walk.
Oh, it was Creek Rats.
Yes. They had an
Yeah, I remember that, dude. I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, I lived in Myrtle Beach for years going to Coastal, so I may have, I was going to say, may have been out one night hanging out with friends. Totally would never not have recognized you guys.
Yeah, there's been a handful of people I've run into at the Clay King retail store that I've met like many, many years back. So yeah, it's possible. I don't know. We'll never know, I guess.
It's funny that we all have ties back into like the Myrtle Beach coastal
Right?
Yeah.
play area.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you hear about Clay King? What was the draw from Merle's Inlet to Spartanburg? How did that happen?
So I had bought clay there before. A couple times I made the hike, drove all the way up because it was cheaper in gas than to pay for shipping.
Yeah.
And yeah, then I mean, you were running the social media, so I was just browsing on Instagram and I saw Clay King was hiring. And I applied, and then Chris hit me up, and then drove up, got interviewed, and I got hired on the spot as soon as I could find a place to live up here. So that was how I ended up here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very spontaneous.
I remember when Chris said he was going to have your interview, and he showed us all. Can't remember if it was.
It's probably a teapot.
Yeah,
He was like, ooh, and then on over it. He actually had me bring it up.
I remember. um,
That's such a compliment, though. I love
It
that.
was, yeah, it was flattering.
yeah, he was impressed, and I remember. I think that was the first time I had seen you or your work too, and yeah, it's crazy to think that that's been 4 or 5 years ago.
I know, right? I think I was actually following you on Instagram before I started working there. I think
Social media is a strange thing. It connects
it
us.
is.
Know
It's
each.
always fun, like meeting people in real life that you followed for a while.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I feel like I know you really, really well, but I've never met you before. So
hmm
I have this like strange on the edge of breaking past this like general acquaintance zone.
hmm Or especially like at Enciko and you like see everyone in real life. It's like, well,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
yeah.
Like Clay King had Trina's work for a while there, and then when I met her in real life, I was like, oh my gosh, Trina,
Mhm. You're her.
you're her. I love your work. I've seen you on Instagram. She's just so cool. She's such a cool person. Beautiful work too. So
Who can you share the name of the people who may not know?
oh yeah, Trina Piercy's Mirakai Pottery. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm so sorry, Trina, if I messed that up. But she's on Instagram. Does beautiful porcelain. She uses Kota. I think she uses Kota porcelain. And then hand draws all of her. She talks about all of her stuff too, how she does it, and all the tools she uses, and the stuff she gets from Clay King, right? So to draw all the beautiful details. So, but Mike, you use the community space, the community studio at Clay King too, correct?
Mhm.
Like you're in there
Yeah,
doing your videos and everything. So
yeah. When I first started working there was like maybe one shelf in there. I don't even know if the kiln was in there yet. It was just like bare bones. So that was kind of like my first order of business when I started working there was like bringing the studio up to be like a real working studio.
it's amazing. I was gonna say because it's so well laid out. All the test tiles, the glazes, like everything in there is so nice, and it flows really nicely too. So that's awesome. Um, and we talked in our last episode about having like we're going from a community studio and then kind of talking about that transition into having a space at home.
hmm
So talk to us a little bit about your experience about working in a community studio and you're now building a studio space at your house.
I am, yeah. Um, so I have had spaces of my own in the past. Like
Okay.
when I lived at the beach, I had a studio at my parents' house. Um, but yeah, when I moved up to Clay King, I had nowhere else to make pottery. And so working out of the space was nice. I mean, it's a nice space. I could use the space anytime, which was awesome. And yeah, I can't say anything bad about it really. It's just like I need more space and it's already like tight in there, you know? Like I wish they built the space bigger, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like most people in community studios are like, I love this space and what it offers, but then you do kind of tend to outgrow it. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean there's all the things attributed with community spaces like
yeah.
other people's stuff ruining your work or killing explosions, tools going missing, all of that fun stuff. You get the camaraderie though, so that's always nice because sometimes when you're at your own space, you're just alone, whittling away, like a little hermit.
I like to call myself a hobbit, if you don't mind. No, I'm just
No, for sure.
borderline. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, there is that nice community space. You have the other potters, and
Yeah, and the inspiration, or
yes,
see what other people are up to.
Yeah, it can be a nice thing to get like inspired and riff off each other real time with somebody else who's doing something totally different but has a
Oh yeah.
feedback for where you're at in a particular project or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
home studio isolation's real. It can feel low.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
but the benefits of
Yeah.
getting to build what you want, especially if you're building it from scratch, right, Mike?
Right.
And
Right.
will, yeah. or converting your own little space into something that, yeah, again, is just entirely yours, and all of your tools are in a specific place, and your glazes, and fire the kiln whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can we talk for a second about it is such a nice thing to have your own studio space, but to go from community studio to like really make the investment of the leap, or like it can feel such like a monumental thing to like tackle, and it takes so much time and effort and thought and planning. What for you guys, and Mike, now that you're in it, and Julie, for you, what was the thing that like, how did you get to the point where you were like, okay, this is time, I need this?
Well,
Like,
I had been plotting this for a really long time. I
mm,
mean, ever since I moved up here, I had the dream of having my own space again. But for a couple of years, I was living in a studio apartment, and so that didn't, wasn't an option. But once I bought a house, that was my main goal with it, kind of, is to have my own space where I can make pottery and not be at work,
mm.
you know. Uh,
Yeah, did it feel for you working out of the clicking studio like you never left work?
yeah, a lot. I would actually have to go home, get the work off of me, and then go back to the studio to really like get into the flow of things. Because I mean, if I just went there straight from the store, I mean, it's the same building, just walking to the back. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like sometimes hard to be motivated or inspired to make anything. I just like want to go home, kind of thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I mean, I bought my house with the intention of doing it, so I made sure there was like enough space. There was the carport, which I originally intended on just closing in, and then I realized it was completely rotten, and I had to cut it all out. Um, and then yeah, I kind of just I built it from the ground up. So poured the cement, got the foundation walls rocking. Now I'm framing it out, and it's just a long process. It's like adding a whole addition onto my house, pretty much.
How are you thinking about its layout, like as you're building it? Like, what's important to you? What are the like key fixture things? How are you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm kind of doing it a bit at a time. I don't have like a grand vision necessarily. I have like a pretty basic layout. I wanted a lot of windows and natural light. So I put a bunch of big windows in. I put big glass double French doors on the back. Also so I could get big things in and out. I wanted a lot of airflow, so there's gonna be a garage door in the front, and then I have the French doors on the back, so I can open both up and just have the air like blow through the whole building.
Nice.
Because I've been in studios with bad air circulation, and it just gets super dusty and stagnant, and I didn't want that. The only thing I'm having trouble right now is the sink layout, because the foundation for where my studio is about 2 or 3 feet below where the bottom floor of my house is. It drops down, and so I don't know if I have enough elevation to tie into my drain line from my house. So I may have to just live with like a trap, or like, I don't know, dump the clay water outside or something. Because I need water in a pottery studio. It's pretty essential.
Yeah. Guess you'll have to build your own little gray water tank and
I'm
hook it
gonna
up.
figure something out, yeah. But it's
Hook it up
just
through the wall.
a lot of little projects like that and figuring things out. Still have to run all the electric too. There's no electricity out there.
Oh yeah, electricity is a huge thing. I've figured that out quickly with my sunroom studio, and
Yeah.
the outlets, I mean, are just in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, do I want to go through taking the time of moving these outlets? And I'm like, no, I gotta work my layout around it.
Mhm.
So, and I constantly find myself, I mean, just 2 months ago, I completely rearranged my studio again for the third time I've been in there, and it's been a year.
Right.
So
Isn't
year
it,
or two, yeah. Um,
is it like rearranging your studio, like rearranging your room as when you were a kid? Like getting,
yeah, it's so fun though. It's like in the middle of the night, I'll be like, you know what I need to do? I need to move my wheel from here to here. Wake up from a dead sleep and be like, you know what would be great right now? Moving my wheel around all by myself in the middle of the night. No, but it is just like that sudden urge to be like, I have to move this around. I can't function
Right.
until this is completely different. So, but I am very quickly, I mean, I've already had that conversation with my husband about, I was in the garage, and then after like a month or two, I was like, this is not working out. And then I moved to the studio, and I've rearranged that studio honestly so many times in the past couple, honestly, we've been in there for maybe 4 years. But in the past 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 years, I've moved it around multiple times. And now it's just gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to build myself a studio space, and trying to figure out, do I want to pour concrete and put up walls like you're doing,
Hmm.
Mike, or do I want to buy like a prefab something, like a she shed kind of deal?
Yeah.
There's so many options, and I'm running into the same thing. I'm like, do I do something here at this house, or do I wait and just work with what I have?
Right.
So it is very mind numbing with going through the process, and I've been doing this for a while too. I've been doing pottery for a while, so at no point in time does it ever, I feel like, get easier to really just be like, oh, I'm gonna do this and then just do it. I don't feel like it really works that way. So nobody feel alone when going through that process.
no,
You're gonna run into something.
I relate to that a lot. It feels like you have to live with a certain amount of pain or a certain amount of like discomfort in the situation you're in before you know what is the right move to do next.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Mike, you are like the king of kilns over there. I feel like you build kilns. Can you tell us about? I'm interested in this. I'm
Yes,
so
sir.
interested. How did you get started in building kilns? And then, I mean, you literally built brick by brick. I feel like that kiln at Clay King by yourself, practically.
Well,
I
so
know, I know you had a you had people and stuff, but every time I saw pictures, I was like, "There's Mike on the ladder." Like,
no, I had plenty of help. I did not do it by myself. Will and I built the first soda kiln at Clay King, and prior to that, neither of us had ever built or fired a gas kiln.
oh my
So we
goodness.
just kind of like reverse engineered other kilns that we saw. We had some very vague plans. I mean, there's really not, I don't know if there is now, but when we were looking, there really was not like a how to build a kiln step by step instruction manual on there.
Well, now you
Um,
guys need to make one.
we could,
Next
I mean,
next
it's
video,
very
guys.
circumstantial for each individual kiln that you're building, but there's a lot that we could put out there. Um, I actually had a lot of assistance from other people who did know how to build kilns. Around the same time, I decided to do the North Carolina Fire Fest, the Mountain Preheat up in North Carolina, and I met a bunch of the guys who have big wood kilns on their properties and asked them bazillions of questions, and they were super helpful with the whole, just every question I had, they were answering that.
That's awesome. I love the pottery community. You go to someone, you're like, "How do I build a kiln?" And they're like, "Here, let me tell you."
Yeah. I mean, like, even just the mortar between the bricks, like, some people use it, some people don't. There's different kinds. It depends what you're doing.
What bricks do I use?
Wadding recipes,
Wadding recipes.
firing, ramp rates, everything.
What do you do for a door? How do you build that cool arch?
Yeah,
Do you build a wooden thing? How does that work?
yeah. Yeah, there's a whole lot that goes into it.
So out of I mean, I love that you guys built that kiln at Clay King. What is your favorite firing process, your type of firing then to do, Mike?
My favorite's probably just like wood soda combo firings. I like the hybrid kiln that we built at Clay King, because unlike a traditional wood kiln where it's just wood, you can get up to temp a little faster and you don't have to babysit the kiln the whole entire time. Most of the time I'm firing that kiln 3/4 by myself, so it's nice to just kind of set it and forget it for a while.
Wait, does hybrid mean gas?
So it's
wood?
so it has gas burners and it also has a firebox for wood.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's really
That's
cool.
awesome.
And then you get both the surface effects of the wood firing and the gas soda and the reduction.
That's what I was just gonna ask you. You can get multiple then, yeah, with the reduction.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
best.
it's fun. It's really cool. And it's not too big, so it only takes like 16 to 20 hours to fire. You're not sitting there firing kiln for 4 or 5 days.
Not camping out.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you now that you're building your studio at home, I want to assume you're going to have an electric kiln at home.
I am, yeah. I'm not gonna have any big gas kilns at my house, I don't think.
Okay. Are you saving room for either gas or fire or something like that? Are you and what does that look
Probably.
like in your neighborhood? Are you in an
Yeah, I live in
HOA?
a pretty. I mean, I live in a neighborhood. My
Yeah.
backyard's big enough, but it's not huge. And I probably I could put one here, but I probably wouldn't, just because they're really expensive to build. They take up a bunch of space. And I already have the one at Clay King. So I don't necessarily need to build a whole nother kiln.
Yeah, and they do offer firings for those listening and who are close enough to Spartanburg.
Yeah, we do workshops. Soda workshops probably start in the springtime. I don't think there's any dates quite yet, but we are working on it.
Yeah, it's still a little.
They're a lot of fun too. Every time I've. Oh, go ahead, Julie.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm waiting. You're good. You're good.
No, I was gonna say I've been to a few of them and they're a ton of fun. Like seeing everybody come out, learn the process. It's fun to fire the kiln we built, and I just remember that whole process was really crazy. Neither of us had really built anything quite like that before, and I think we were both ready to do something like it, but we needed another person just to walk through the process. And there in its firing workshops, it's really cool and satisfying to see the complete whole loop.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other part of that is the biggest thing that pushed that project was the fact that someone already bought all the stuff to build the kiln. It was all already at Clay King, just sitting for a couple of years at that point when I started working there. So I think whoever bought it probably did it right before COVID or something.
Yeah. There had been plans to have somebody come and help the build, but then COVID happened and it stopped, and
then it just kind of fizzled out. So yeah, everything we needed to build it was already there, and we were just like, well, are we just gonna let it sit here, or should we just try to build it? And no one really was in the way of stopping us doing it, so we just did it.
I love that about Chris at Clay King. I'm sure he was just like, okay, see ya, have fun.
Yeah, he was totally down.
So, see, in grad school, we had a gas kiln that we all, helped build, but it was like, we each got to partake a little bit in it. But honestly, if I try to recall those memories, I'm just like, I kind of remember welding. I kind of remember what, putting mortar on bricks and slapping it down. I have no idea what the content of any of that was. I couldn't tell you.
You got YouTube though.
So
you could figure it out.
You have you, and I have you guys. What are you talking about, Mike? I have you and Will. You guys are gonna be like, hey guys, come over for pizza, and there's just gonna be a pile of bricks, and I'm gonna be like, chop chop.
Hey, a pizza oven has been on my to-build list for a long time.
I was wondering today. Can I build those ovens that are like the beehive shaped? Can I do a kiln like a beehive shaped?
Yeah, and that's how they
could if you want to. Yeah, of course.
Something small. I think I'm just gonna do something small. I see people who've made those like tiny kilns out of clay before too.
Hmm.
It's like a raku clay, it was just like tiny, foot long.
Put a couple sticks on the front.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I could do that.
Some primitive pit fired.
Yeah, I've done pit firings. I can dig a hole where I am and burn some wood. No one's gonna bat an eye.
Sure.
So
They do those like if you've got a backyard, you can dig a spot and do a pit firing. It's a lot of fun.
yeah, so many different options for firing pottery.
I'm looking at some of the questions people in the Clay King comments have asked.
Yeah,
Yeah, what do you got?
What do we have here?
and thank you guys for giving us submissions and questions.
Many. There's so many. We're gonna have to pick and choose. I don't think we can get through them all.
Oh, really?
That's awesome. I love this community. You guys are great.
But Christina Hera 22 asks, what are things to do before buying a small kiln, or I guess any kind? There's a few different questions along these lines. So, like, what are the things you have to have in place before you go ahead and buy the kiln?
Electricity, like enough amperage in your breaker box.
Hmm.
Make sure you have plenty of amp space in your breaker box. That's my biggest thing, and just enough space to fire that kiln safely with at least the standard 18 inches away from anything on any side to be safe.
Do you need the place before you buy it?
Like for me, I want a couple things. Not only being as close to my breaker box as I could get, because the further you are from your breaker box, the more expensive it is, because copper is expensive.
Hmm.
So my kilns are within 15 feet of my breaker box, but they are also inside the garage. So they're in a covered space, and they have it's on a concrete slab, and they're near a wall, so it can be properly vented from the bottom. I have a vent on the bottom. So that checked all of my boxes. So that was like the safety of where it is. It's covered, so it's safe from the elements. It's not going to be too terribly expensive because it's closer to my breaker box. I had more than enough room, and my house could handle running a kiln. Actually, multiple kilns. I can run 3 kilns at once. So
That's pretty nice.
that's really
That is
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
have
then-
to upgrade my panel for my kilns.
Yeah, that can be expensive too.
There's some people who can get the 120 volt ones, like Olympic, and I think almost all of the major kiln players have a 120 volt plug and play Cone 10 kiln, or at least Cone 8. Can people fire those in their houses? What are your thoughts on home inside home kiln usage? Is that a no-no, or is that safe? And
I would say the context is important.
okay.
Like, would I fire it in my bedroom where there's not really any ventilation? Probably not. Could you do it in like a spare room and get away with it? Probably. I wouldn't want. I mean, yeah, you probably could. It's like if you should though,
Yeah, should you? Maybe not. Did I totally fire one of those
Yeah.
small sitter kilns in a apartment building next to my fireplace? Yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even on a dedicated breaker. Don't do that.
But
Dedicated breaker, well ventilated space, preferably in a room that you can close off, that, keep in mind, is fire resistant. To be mindful of that. Like, I mean, I have my kilns on stands on concrete slabs, and behind them is the HardieBacker board, the concrete board,
Mhm.
just to be safe.
That's
So,
situation.
yeah, it's a good setup. So in home, I've seen people with those L&L kilns on Instagram, and they're like, here's this kiln just like in the middle of my living room on nothing but like its stand that it came with, and there's like the hardwood floor or whatever underneath, and it's just plugged into a wall, and they're like watching TV and the kiln's right there, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
There
I
they-
would say if you do it in your house, the vent is like the biggest
Vent.
importance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't vent. They don't even make vents for kilns under a certain size. So
If you have a covered porch and you want to make sure your electrician comes out and dedicates one of those outlets on your porch just for your kiln, I mean, it's right outside your sliding glass door or on a balcony or whatever, go for it.
Yeah. Although it can serve you pretty well if you're doubling it up as a heater in the wintertime.
true.
I'm not gonna lie, I've done that before, yes.
I've done that too.
Yep.
That was Penrose Ceramics asked if we had any tips for firing electric and working in winter. How to stay warm in the studio.
Keep your kiln in your studio.
Wheel it in.
Just open it up every once in a while. Just set it to like a nice like 350 degrees like you would your oven and just,
I've done that, dude, in my old studio.
Hey, when I go out and I'm doing stuff in the mornings, like I will fire my kiln specifically so it fires through the night and then is done at about 5 a.m. so that my garage is warm when I step out there and I'm glazing or doing whatever. So I don't have to work in the cold.
Do you keep your clay near your kiln so it warms it up?
Oh, my clay is out in the garage, but no, I will bring a bag of clay inside into my house and let it warm up overnight if I need to throw with it or do whatever the next day. So
warm clay's the best.
Warm clay, man. Warm, squishy clay. As long as it's not too cold, yeah. Oh.
I think my winter, like keeping your winter studio manageable hack was I saw somebody who swapped their throwing bucket out for a mini crock pot and they kept it keep warm or low.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. As a cold woman, as literally someone who needs to warm up in the sun every day. Yes, that's a brilliant idea.
I mean,
I do heat up. I have, I go out in the garage, get my warm water from my white stationary tub, but I have my kettle right there for pouring in my water every once in a while because my studio's right next to where my kitchen is and my coffee station is. So I just pop on the kettle if I want to heat up my water while I'm throwing. Or, I have fresh water and I pour the water into my water bucket.
Yeah.
So, but I have a small space heater, like a water-based space heater that I plug into, and of course, directly into the wall, never to a like a cord, like an extension. You know what I mean? Like one of those. Yeah. But I lucked out. My sunroom is warm because sunroom, hence the name, and it also has a built-in air conditioning heating unit in its own space. So
that is handy.
It's cozy.
I think it's worse in the summertime if you have a kiln going in your studio. It's hard to escape that.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons in the South where I'm like, I don't want to work in a space where my kiln is running. I'd rather have the air conditioning. So
yeah, it's hard in the South. I remember one year I was prepping for a show right in the middle of September, and I couldn't time the kilns like we wanted to, and it was still in the shop. And the thermometer inside the building read 129. We were prepping all of the pots.
Jesus.
Oh, God.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to get a nicely climate-controlled balance.
Yeah. Well, even in the summertime, when my kiln is running, or both my kilns are running in the garage, I have small fans that I have to point at the box on the electrical box on the outside of the kiln because it will overheat. And it will throw an error and it'll be like, hey, it's too hot in here. So I do have a mobile thermometer as well that sits next to one of my tables near my kilns. It will just tell me what temperature it is outside. If it gets above a certain temperature, I usually run the fan on it anyway, even in the wintertime. But I know that, okay, I can't run both these kilns at the same time because it's going to get too hot in here.
Right.
So, but it also affects your cool down time. My cool down time in the summer, of course, it's much slower than in the winter, and that affects, depending on what I'm doing, will affect my glazes. So you have to be mindful where you put your kilns, because if you do it somewhere out in the open, you can't control that cooldown, and you might have to program it to do a cooldown.
Yeah, I used to keep my kiln outside, and it would cool too fast, and I'd have a lot of like pinhole problems and like the glazes freezing over too fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just moved kilns outside, and this has been the first time that I've noticed glazes doing different things as it's gotten below freezing. I had not thought about it cooling down quicker and that being the problem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This has been a great question because it does open up a lot of conversation of not just the safety of where to put your kiln and the mindfulness of the how to make sure it works, you know, where it is, but then also how it affects your work. So awesome.
Sarah Gomez asks, when do you quit your day job?
Now,
No thought.
just walk out, just right, no thought, right, Mike? Just,
Hey, wait a minute.
I'm not quite there yet. When do you quit your day job? When you're
Oh.
making more money doing your other job? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I unfortunately had to, because of COVID, I had to leave my position, but I was transitioning from full-time to part-time because I was making half my salary per month already in pottery. So I was like,
Yeah.
why don't I just do this part-time? And then if I can keep making what I'm making and throw myself into it, all puns intended, yeah. I think it is just making sure you have that stable income. And it's going to fluctuate too.
Yeah. It also depends if you want to do pottery full time. Like you might think that you do until you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Have you gotten to that point where you've been working in clay and you thought, I wish I could be doing something else?
I have been there before. Oh yeah, definitely. Like I still don't even know if I would ever go back to doing pottery exclusively as my only source of income.
What do you like
For-
about doing pottery and doing something else?
It's a good balance, and I have financial stability. One thing I didn't like about doing pottery full time is like I'd make a bunch of money and then none for a while, and then a bunch and then none. I'm sure it's a little different. Like if I put more into online sales and it could be more consistent, but just doing like festival circuits and like art shows, you
Yeah.
never know how they're gonna go. And also just sometimes I just didn't want to I get to the point where I didn't want to be in the studio because I had to be in there. It wasn't like fun anymore. I like loathed making the things that I knew would sell kind of thing.
Yes. Studio burnout's a thing.
Yeah.
It's hard.
When you have to make yourself do it just to meet the ends meet. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a place to be. Yeah.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to it, but
There is.
sometimes it's not all fun.
Yeah, I don't think just up and quit your day job. I would slowly transition yourself, make goals for yourself. That's what I did. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this month I want to make at least $200. The following month I want to double that. And I want to see what works while I was still in my comfortable position, quote unquote comfortable position in my job,
Right.
knowing that I had an income, but then would use any spare time and weekends I could get to set goals for myself, find out what people liked, make sure I could match and meet those goals. Take on custom orders, just play around and see what you like. And then do that for about a year. And that's pretty much what I did. And then when COVID hit and I had no choice, I was like, well, I'm going to take 2 weeks to really make a bunch of work and then, put myself out there. And I was shocked when I was like, wow, I'm actually making as much as I was making working at a cubicle. And then the following year I was making double. So I was like, this is awesome.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you do get kind of burnt out pretty quickly with
But-
some things. So
Realize really quickly, like, oh, this is feasible. Like when you're on the other side of it and you're actually making more like at or more what you were at your day job, isn't it that
Mhm.
like that's a really cool place where like, oh, this is a possible thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is totally possible. Yeah. And whenever, to answer that question, whenever you feel comfortable being like, you know what, I feel comfortable doing the pottery I'm doing now, I'm making a decent amount of work or making a decent amount of money, and you're in that comfortable position with what you do, then, you know, you can really feel out now is now the time I do this full time. And that's just something you're going to have to really feel as you're making your work and pushing yourself to be a full-time potter. So
Yeah, that steady migratory transition, I feel like, is really important. The impulsive, I just discovered this, I'm going to quit my job. Like,
yeah,
uh,
I feel like, you know, TikTok and social media in general and everything was a little misleading during COVID, especially because people were like, oh, I quit my job or I lost my job, so now I'm doing pottery. But most of those people I reached out to, I'm like, but did you just start doing pottery? And they're like, oh no, like I have an art degree, or, you know, and I was just working a desk job until I could build up my own pottery studio space, or I've been doing pottery and taking classes for multiple years, and I've been working towards this goal. So it wasn't just an overnight thing. I've been working on this for quite some time, and now that I feel comfortable, I'm going to go ahead and take this step.
Right. I have definitely seen people just quit their day job and buy $20,000 of studio equipment and just try to send it.
yeah. I mean, we've talked to them on the phone. They call in.
I'm saying, yeah.
Colin, now what?
Oh, it's so funny. I mean, you'll hear it from customers and you can tell, hey, this is their first rodeo, but they are like stacking up a studio.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it though. I love that. I love that drive.
I know. I wish I could follow up with all the customers we sold things to and see where they are now with what they got.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Great.
be.
Well, what other questions have we got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here.
Let's see what we got. Great questions, you guys.
We've got some, I think we've got a few on general studio cleanliness, filtration, worrying about silicosis. So what would you guys say, like, what's the best way to create a safe studio environment, like out of your house? Like, is it something that you guys are worried about, and how do you keep the risk to a minimum?
Clean.
Clean. I
A
was gonna
lot.
say, clean a lot. Just wet clean. I
Yeah.
clean every time after I'm done working or throwing. I know that sounds a bit tedious, but I will wipe down my wheel, wipe down my floors, everything when I'm done.
Do you sweep,
Yeah.
like, even a little bit?
Because it's my sunroom, so the dogs are kind of tracking in leaves and dirt and stuff. I will. But what I will do, I mean, I hate to use a broom, but I won't like broom like kicking up dust. I will very slowly drag my broom across, but I don't really pick up a lot of clay because when I'm working in my area with my pottery and everything, again, when I'm done for the day, I wipe down every little speck I can find. So I'm not really tracking clay around everywhere.
Mhm.
So, and what about you, Mike? What's your plan for your home studio? Keeping the
Oh, I
dust
got
down.
I put the big door on the front and the back. Because I find the airflow, if you can get air flowing through your kiln, a lot of the dust will flow out or
Yeah.
flowing through your studio. Not kiln.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had the floors poured real nice so that I can just hose my studio out.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I really just wanted to be able to just like wash it all out.
That's
Instead of having, because mopping works really good, but it's just like tedious and you're constantly like rinsing the head and
Do you need any kind of like air filter in your space? What do you guys think about those?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt, but do you need it? No.
No, I mean, we have a filtration, like a small rollable one, just because, you know, dogs, dust, all that kind of stuff. And it does help a lot with allergies in general, especially during the spring and summer months. But they make these filtration systems. One of my pottery instructors was talking about it, how it just pulls from the air and then goes straight into like water, and then you can just empty out the water.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it pulls from whatever's in the air. But I guess when when it comes to clay and stuff, I don't mix my own clay, so I don't worry about that. So that's where I feel like a lot of this dust would come from. If you clean regularly when you're done working, then and keep a clean studio space, I don't think you have to worry too much about the clay dust. But if you're wanting to mix your own clays or glazes, that's different. I try to do that in my garage or like with the garage door open, and of course with the really nice mask on and a fan blowing out.
Yeah, to like
As in,
particles away.
yeah, suck some of the particles away. Or in an ideal world, I would have like an OSHA, like, filtration system straight from my table, and it would go out, blow away, and yeah, pull everything away from me.
I
But
think your work surfaces are really important. If you can work on something that you can clean easy, that helps, because that's where a lot of the dust is coming from. Also, slab roller canvases are the biggest. Like when the sun's coming through the Clay King studio at the right angle, those are the dustiest things I've ever seen.
Canvas.
Yeah, I hate canvas for
Canvas.
clay.
I was gonna say no canvas. Go do slab mats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind them for the slab roller, but like as a work surface, I remember in high school our work tables had canvas stapled to the top,
Same.
and they're just impossible to clean.
Right, we had that too, and it was awful.
Yeah,
Pieces.
yeah, I think like cement board's good, but it sucks the water out of clay really fast, so that's like one downside to it.
Yeah, I have a plastic foldable table that I use
Yeah.
in my studio space, and I can wipe it down with one of those big sponges.
Mhm.
Like one of those big car sponges I have just cut in half.
Mhm.
So that's what I do. That's what I clean my studio down with when I'm done. And then slab mats and any towels and aprons, I just immediately hose them out outside, or, you can rinse them in a bucket of water, let that clay settle, pour off the water, let the clay dry out, whatever you got to do to properly dispose of whatever you need to, and then throw them in the wash.
Right.
That really is the answer, though. Like all the way around, it's just keep your space clean, like tidy up, spritz, water, wet, clean, and
Clean, clean, clean.
yeah.
I only know of one person I've ever met who like said they had silicosis or COPD from doing clay stuff, and it was a kindergarten teacher.
Oh,
Ooh.
I haven't met anybody either. That's not to say they aren't there.
Yeah.
My COPD from when she smoked growing up, and so I've been curious lately, seeing her in her later years. Been curious, like what can we be doing? What can I be doing now to even just clay dust? Because you're right, like it is everywhere. And it really just comes back to like how much I wipe down stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, my professor from undergrad who I was visiting today, Elizabeth, was like, "Oh, I remember when we had the first conversations with OSHA, and we would just, walk in when she was in school, and also when she was teaching in those very early years, she was like, we would just, walk into the studio and it'd just be a cloud of dust. You couldn't see anyone because we were like, this is fine. There was no such thing as ventilation for all of that. So, yeah. Oh, how times have changed."
Sure. The gist of the rest of the questions are summarized probably in like separation of work-life balance. So for home studios, Mike, you'll probably, well, maybe with still keeping Clay King. I guess the summary is like, what does work-life balance look like? If you have a home studio, how do you like make the divide? What does work mean?
Like, I guess it depends if, like, when I was doing pottery full time, there really was no separation. I don't think I was pulling like 10, 12-hour days every day, just cooking away. But now that I have a home studio, I don't really know what that'll look like, to be honest with you. I'll let you know though.
Okay.
What is it like for you?
It's challenging because I love it so much. It's so easy for me to get sucked in here, and I'm so positively motivated by creating something and seeing the fruit, like the culmination of all of the steps come together. And if a sale comes through in the online store, like it's just like the biggest dopamine hit you can possibly get is creating something and somebody wanting it. So I will lose myself in here. Like I'll be honest, it's easy for me to like get sucked in. So, I mean, for viewers who or listeners, I have got 2 kids and a wife, and it's difficult sometimes to make sure that I'm prioritizing what I know is important. So like for me personally, it's looked a lot like just being accountable of how I spend my time, setting some boundaries for myself, but also like having some flexibility within those too. So it's a challenge and it's a flex. Some seasons are busier, some seasons are slower. And when the kids are at home or on holiday, I try to be available. I make sure we get date nights once a month or so. And aside from that,
with my studio space being in my home, like I literally walk through my kitchen into my sunroom, that can be difficult because it's quite distracting. So I've had to set really like harsh not harsh, but like really strict deadlines for myself, or like where I'm like, okay, I have to be in my studio by like 9 in the morning. And then I try not to let myself work past, 5 or 6. I try to stop, have dinner, hang out with my husband, do whatever, just like watch a movie, chill. But it's very difficult because some nights he'll go play video games and I'm like, oh, I should play some video games too. And then next thing I know, it's 10:30 and I'm putting handles on mugs. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like Julie. So some nights I just like, sometimes I just like, I want to see, like Will, like you're saying, you get sucked into a project and I want to see projects through, or sometimes I don't time things very well. If like throw a bunch of mugs and I'm like, oh, I got to put handles on these now.
Yeah.
And I have to put handles on these like now. Like I have 3 mugs waiting for me actually after this podcast. Just three, that's it. But it is though a very kind of like balance where I'm like, I'm not going to keep doing these very late nights. It's very easy to just step into the studio and do what I want. But then weekends, I've been really good about just having that as like family time. So,
but it's good. Like I find it hard to anchor myself to being like making sure I have really strict boundaries, or making sure that I'm really true to my creative side and like really not breaking until I'm done. I think there's seasons in life where you're busy and you're not, and being able to have a home studio and train myself, or like learn the discipline, learn how to create the balance, is part of what I enjoy too. It's challenging, but also really rewarding too.
Yeah. It is all about finding that balance. So, but it's also nice to just like not pressure yourself.
Yeah.
Not pressure yourself to be in the studio, and then like not make yourself feel guilty if you're like, well, I really want to touch clay. So just letting yourself have those moments. Or there's sometimes when you're like, I don't want to get burnt out. I just really want to play video games.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like as long as you're meeting any deadlines and you're not overdoing it. So, and that's going to look different for everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, do we have any more questions or?
Just maybe rapid fire, quick ones, just for fun. Mike, what's your favorite Clay King skit we've made?
Oh man, possibly the skeleton, the ghost reenactment. That one was good.
That one was great.
What else have we done? I like the one we did recently, the Campbell Soup one. That one was fun.
I love that. We had talked about that for a long time.
For years, literal years.
It's funny how we can talk about something for an extended period of time, and then all it takes is just one afternoon.
Literally one day, yeah. We're just like, okay, we're gonna do it today. Yeah, I would say those two are up there for sure.
Okay. Best tool in your kit? What you go to?
Probably the Zyme. I couldn't tell you the name of it. It's like SSR something. 4A maybe 2A. It's a double-sided serrated rib, and it has 2 different size teeth on it, and I use that so much.
Ooh.
Nice call. You use those for like carving out your wavy patterns in your throne.
I use it for patterns. I use it for slipping and scoring, shaving surfaces down, roughing in things.
Going with the rib. I wouldn't have picked it. Guessed it.
Yeah.
Tell me about your Spotify Wrapped.
Oh man, mine's all over the place. And I don't know, I had like so many hours banked from using my phone to play music at the store. Yeah, mine was pretty all over the place, and genres. And
did that mess with your algorithm, having to do retail store music, or did you just play what you know?
No. I mean, I have to be careful because sometimes I'll have my liked songs playing, and then it'll start getting into some stuff that shouldn't be playing in the retail store. But nah, I mean, I can manage. I like playing DJ in the store. It's fun.
Cool. Well, those are our rapid fire questions. I think that covers everything I've got asked for you.
Okay.
More last minute questions?
No, I mean, my favorite thing was just hearing you talk about the kilns and just everything. But yeah, I love your whole journey into pottery, and I can't wait to see your finished studio space whenever you get it done.
I know, me too. Thank you. I'll have a little studio party when it's done. You can come hang out.
Yes, that would be so much fun. I was gonna say too, like if you need help, I don't know how much help I can offer, but if you need help with anything,
I need help hanging drywall on the ceiling.
you need me to hold some drywall up for you so it doesn't go just bloop.
No, thankfully my dad is super handy, and he's actually like spearheading this operation. He's was a framer for many, many years and just knows what to do. So
Man,
makes
thank
this
goodness
way
for
easier.
dads.
Yeah, seriously.
My dad's one of those. He's just like, I'm just gonna build this thing, and I'm like, great, build me one too.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate hearing your story and all that you've got going on, and I'm excited to see your studio come together.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. We've enjoyed having you.
For sure. Been a pleasure.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the 4th episode of our Studio Sessions Pottery podcast. And be sure to follow us. Everyone throw out their handles. Julie, Busy Daydreams Pottery.
I'm Muddy Mike on Instagram.
And I'm Donovan Pottery.
All right, cool. Thank you guys.
Thanks. We'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye.